Welcome everybody to the August 23rd, 2023 webinar. We're calling this one The Appearance of Birdie. This is Birdie. If you see bunkers over there, not interested in Birdie lately. Not interested in Birdie. Birdie has two different eyes though. They look cool. So anyway, I'm going to talk to you about social media today and social media marketing. This is hopefully not going to be your average social media song and dance. I'm going to actually show you what I do or tell you what I do when I can't show you. And I'm going to give you the honest to God, good and bad. You look like you're dying. You look like you're dying. Go ahead. I'm going to give you the pros and the cons because there's a lot of things over the last 9 months, a year, since I've kind of committed, at least to a degree, to some substantial social media marketing. There's been a lot of things I've learned, and some is good, some is not. So, and you never hear about the part that's not good with lawyers or anybody trying to sell you on social media. I have no agenda here, so I'm just going to tell you what's going on. If you have comments, if there's something you specifically want me to address, please let me know. I've got a list that's in front of me on my computer of 6 topics I'm going to cover with notes that I've made, but I don't know what you're assuming here or what you actually want to know. Good thing is you're not a jury, and I can actually ask you and you can actually tell me what you want to know. So as we go through this, please tell me what you think. Let me start with kind of my journey here, because I think that's important to give you my frame of reference and to let you know where I'm coming from. So my practice opened 8 years ago, and we rely, and that's I don't know, present tense, active tense, we rely on attorney referrals. This social media stuff that I'm going to talk about, when I go through the good and bad, you'll hear that's not what we rely on. That's never what we've been relying on. Take me compared to a different lawyer who is going to tell you that they got every case that they ever had from social media. That's not us. So why did I decide to give a shot to social media marketing? Probably the first reason is back during COVID is when I started these webinars. So that's 2020. I think the first one was in about April, and I was doing weekly webinars, and they were fun. And that's why I'm still doing them. That's the number one reason. It was fun. So I decided that that from that experience of doing videos, and I was making some daily content as well at that point, I figured that I would enjoy it. So I kid you not, the number one reason that I started doing social media marketing is because I thought I would enjoy it. I firmly believe that if you're doing marketing that you don't enjoy, it will not be successful. If you asked one of my lawyers to write long form blog content and said, I want you to write these long narratives and post them on LinkedIn, not his thing, not his thing at all. On the other hand, if you said to one of my lawyers, I want you to go to 10 marketing events a week, whether that's a breakfast, a lunch, drinks, whatever, I think he would like spontaneously combust. So I firmly believe you have to pick things that you want to do. And I can't undersell that. I really mean it. It's not just BS. When I started doing the videos, I also met back in 2020 into 21, even now, I met a lot of people I wouldn't ordinarily have met. So for me, it was also kind of a social thing where maybe I'm never going to run across, I don't know, Paul Simon, who for better or worse I've run across. He's in this webinar. But let's say I never would have met him. There's people like that where I see your name on my webinar list and I say, I'm going to reach out to that person, or I ask at the end of these webinars, I ask everybody to reach out to me if I don't know you. So it was a good way of networking. It introduced me to another group of people. Sometimes I felt, and I still feel, like I'm at the end of my networking circle, where I had this circle of people. I've gone outward as far as I can go, and then I'm like, who else can I talk to? And maybe y'all sometimes feel this way. And I felt with the videos, I was able to kind of get to different people. Now, for the record, that's not true. You never really get to your network. Best question to ask, as always, is who else can I meet, and who can you introduce me to? Ask that of your network, and you'll grow your network even more. So if you're sitting here saying, well, I think these social media videos would be fun, or I think marketing through social media, because there's different ways to do it on different platforms. I'll talk about that in a second. I think the starting point, if you're interested, it's my dog claws. If you're interested, is the first thing you have to ask yourself is, what is your time commitment? How much time are you willing to spend? And how often are you willing to do it? When I decided to start doing daily videos again, I decided that in the middle of 2022. So when I said, I'm going to do this again, like I was doing in 2020. All right, Bert, you're coming with me. All right, guest. When we decided to commit to doing videos like I was doing in 2020, the biggest hesitation I had, the thing I was the most scared of, was the time commitment. And when I first started doing them, and still, it is a large time commitment. To give you an idea of how I produce the videos that I make, or before we get there, let's take this webinar. I mean, this webinar is essentially a deposition. It's like a 4-trial deposition. If you're a lawyer and you take, trial depositions, that's kind of what this is. I prepare, although it may not seem like it sometimes. I prepare. I have an idea of what I'm going to talk about, and I have kind of a show and tell on most of these webinars. That takes me an afternoon, maybe an evening, so it takes me a couple hours. My general rule for a deposition is it takes me about 2 hours for every 1 hour for a trial deposition. So if I know my trial deposition is of a police officer, I want it to be a half hour. I know my prep's probably going to take me about an hour, maybe a little bit more. I'm hearing that the chat is off. Paul Simon just called me a coward to tell me my chat is off. Let me see if I can fix this. Folks, I didn't know my chat was off, and I don't know how to fix that, because I do want y'all to chat. I do want y'all to be able to talk with me. So that is an interesting. Oops. And then I invited Adam Taylor. Adam, you do not need to hop on here. Sorry for the surprise. I'm trying to make sure everybody can chat. But anyway, if you can't chat, Paul, if you still can't chat, send me another text, and I will try to make the chat on, because I want to hear what y'all have to say. So anyway, the first thing I was scared about was the time commitment. And to do these webinars, for example, it takes me an afternoon, let's call it, to do them. Heck, the hardest part at this point is trying to find a topic. And you'll hear that's a common theme through this social media marketing, is trying to find a topic. Because now on the short videos that I do, I'm 9 months in, 10 months worth of content, 12 months actually worth of content. And it's tough to think of content. I mean, it truly is. But let me walk into all this. Still trying to figure out how to turn this chat on. If anybody knows, shoot me an email, shoot me a text, because I don't know why it is not letting y'all chat. I want you to chat. And I sent you all a chat too. So that's what's weird. All right, tried my best. I'm sorry. So let's start with the time commitment and how I produce these short form videos that I presume some of you have seen. If you haven't seen them, please check them out. We post them every day on our social media, our Instagram, our TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. Those are the 3 that almost every day, the short form content is going. So here's how it works. I set up a camera, lighting, the whole 9 yards. The reason I chose, if you look at my content compared to other people's content, I think mine is more refined and professionally filmed. That is costly. I can't just do it on an iPhone. I can't just do it on an iPad or a computer. The reason for that is because I am not hunting for your $25,000 small car crashes. That's not what I want. And when I decided to do the short form videos, I was focusing on who my audience was. And to me, my audience was, and will continue to be lawyers. So even though I'm posting kind of to the general public, I am still targeting lawyers. And that is not the average, at least that I see. Maybe y'all see different things, but I don't think most lawyers who do social media video content are pitching to lawyers. They're pitching mainly to the consumer. Hey, have you been in a car crash? Here's what you do. Here's 7 things to do so your insurance company doesn't screw you. And I do that content, but I'm still trying my best to put it in the eyes of a lawyer, for lawyers. So along with that, my production quality has to reflect that. I can't just be dude with the phone up to my face talking. I mean, Ali Awad, who has been doing it much longer than me, that is more his style. He's sitting at a desk, he's watching crash videos, he's giving kind of reactions. That works for him because my understanding is he's reaching out to the general public, he's reaching out to consumers directly, and that's who he wants. I frankly want all of you on this list to remember me and have me top of mind. And that's where it started with me, is I want to be top of mind for lawyers. And I was worried that I wouldn't be able to track what I was doing. And I can tell you, I am not able to track what I'm doing. It's very difficult to tell how successful it is, truth be told. So these are, this is a graphic that I have seen for years. You guys have probably seen this. Some vendor sent me this, and I've seen it 9 different ways. But all of your goals need to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Yeah, that's great, unless you're doing content video where you're just trying to be top of mind. So the measurable part here is something I'll talk about later. But my goal was to be top of mind with lawyers. That was my initial goal, and that's what I strive to do. So my content needs to look like it's not done in the backseat of a car. It's done with lawyers in mind, and they say, wow, this is the kind of guy that I would want to share a really good case with, as opposed to, hey, this guy looks like he's working out of his car and operating out his car. I'm not sure if I really want to give him $1 million case. The next thing that we do when I'm sitting in this room with my production equipment and with my with the videographer we use, and usually another person in the room, is we just start rolling the tape. So if you think there's some master plan, which a lot of people do, and if you think that I have, like on these short form videos, if I walk in and say to myself, hey, I'm gonna talk about these topics, and let me script it, let me write it, that is absolutely 100% not what is happening. What is happening is I'm sitting in a room once a month for 6 to 8 hours, and I'm just talking and talking and talking. Usually it just starts with a conversation of, hey, what's up? And then it just kind of spawns from there. And everything I do that day, from the moment I get to where I'm filming, sometimes it's my house, sometimes it's at work, wherever. When the moment I get there, I haven't spoken pretty much the whole day purposefully, but in the morning I'll get there and I just start talking. And it's interactive. It's a true conversation. It's not BS. It's honest. And over time, I've learned that there are ways to have topic ideas, which in my phone, I have literally a note that is called ideas. And you can see all the check marks here. That's because I've done them recently. These are the ones I'm planning on doing. And the reason I walk around with this note, and I know this isn't going to blow your mind here with how I do this, but the reason I do it is because one of the fears I had with content was, if I'm only filming once a month and something happens to me on day 3 that I think would make an awesome video, I have 2 choices. In front of my face like this, where it's not doing the production quality I want, it's not reflecting who I want to convey to lawyers, or I write it down and try to remember the rant I was going to go on or whatever I was going to say. I would say 80% of the time I still remember, and I'll sit down, I'll sit down in a week or 2 and go through these ideas. 80% of them I'll say, oh yeah, I've forgotten about it. But I'll say, oh yeah, here's what I wanted to say, and then I'll start talking about it. 20% I'll be like, I don't know why I wrote that. And that's okay. That's okay. It probably wasn't a great video anyway. But I don't walk in and say I need to talk about 30 topics for 30 days. When I hit my 30th, I'm out the door. I sit for 6 to 8 hours and just talk and talk and talk. And the team, whether it's the videographer or somebody from my team, writes down, oh shit, what Mike just said, that makes a lot of sense. Write down the time code, and then we can go back and edit in a pretty efficient-ish way. So that's how we track, and that's how I do my short form video. The reason I got into short form video is my wife was on TikTok a lot. She was actually looking at real estate TikTok. I don't know why, but she was. And I watched videos and I said, I think I can do a better job than that. I mean, there's one person I was like, her videos are really, really great. But I said, I think I can do better than that. And so I got a TikTok account like I'm a 16-year-old. And I started looking around for lawyer content. And I didn't see any personal injury lawyers that had a large following. So I said, shit, I think I can do this. And I think I can do a really good job. I think I'll have fun. And it's one day a week, or excuse me, one day a month, and I'll see what I can do. When I made that decision, I decided to commit to it for 9 months. That was my inner goal was I'm going to do this for 9 months, because if I do it for a week, if I do it for a month, if I do it for 2 months, I'm not going to end up with I'm not going to end up with the results. Because if you've been on social media just as a normal human, what happens is you get all your friends, all your people you know, you start right away getting all those people. And then if you're trying to add followers, it takes time. It takes time. So I've been doing this for about 9 months. On Instagram, I went from 1,000 followers to, I'm looking right now, to 37,000. And on TikTok, I have, I think, like 150,000 followers, maybe a little bit below that. I've gotten a lot of offers. I'm going to give you the real behind the scenes. I've gotten a lot of offers from people. Oh, I can help you buy followers. I can help you buy followers. There's a lawyer here in Atlanta that if you look at his followers, you will see a whole lot of Russian names. You will see a whole lot of Asian names with no followers themselves. And you just look and you can see literally tens of thousands, if not more, of people that aren't actually following. My goal was to be on lawyers' top of mind. So I'm looking just to add lawyers. I don't care if a normal citizen, a non-lawyer, is following me. That's not my goal. So I don't really care too much about the follower count. What I care about is when lawyers call me that I haven't heard from in a while, I say to them, hey, I've been doing these social media videos. Is that why you're thinking of me? And I think I get an honest answer by asking like that. So the measurability, like we talked about with the SMART goals, the measurability, I don't know a great way to do it for what my goals are. If your goal is to be a social media influencer and grow your following and then sell ads, I mean, hell, I've been asked by companies to do ads, which is ridiculous. I've said no. I put up a video about cigars and I got it's funny. Let me back up a second. It's funny. Sometimes when I post a video, I have a really good idea that it's going to get a lot of comments. I post a video about the best and worst car insurance companies. And to me, that's a throwaway quick video off the top of my head. But to the consumers who are using the platforms way more than lawyers, that's something they jump into. Oh, I love State Farm. Oh, I hate Allstate, whatever. So I know posting a video like that, I'm going to have a lot of interaction. I posted a video about cigars, was kind of like a throwaway. We cut that video and made it just because I thought it was fun. And again, number one reason I do this is because I think it's fun. And I got lots of people commenting on a lot of different topics of that video. I might as well bring up the hate. If you're going to do social media marketing, which is going to get mass public views, even if that's not your intention, I've got thick skin, but it makes me pause sometimes. Makes me pause. One of the cigar videos was how often I smoke, and then I kind of made a follow-up about my wife trying to get me to quit smoking cigars because she's pregnant. And I'm saying, the joke in my house was, if you quit Amazon, I'll quit cigars. If you're sitting there saying Mike's an asshole, how dare he not quit cigars because his wife is pregnant? That right there would be one of the nicer comments on the negative side. I got called some pretty terrible names. On the other side, which blew my mind, she got called some pretty terrible things. All this based on a 35-second video that I thought was humorous. And, I'm not really saying to her, you better quit Amazon. I mean, I don't know how you actually quit Amazon, but, I thought it was funny. So you have to have thick skin. I mean, there's no doubt about that. It makes me sad some days. Like if you'll notice, maybe once a month, I don't post a video, and I promise you the day before it was because I got some pretty shitty comments. So that's an unintended consequence, but those videos had a really big following, and cigar companies wanted me to smoke their cigars while I did my videos. One did, and they would pay me some money. And if that's your goal, then your measurability is your follower count. And then a secondary to that is how many of your followers are actually viewing your videos. And the analytics on these programs, on these apps, are pretty are pretty advanced. I mean, you can see the average time that someone watches your video. You can see when they stop watching. You can see what actions they take after they stop watching your video. Do they click on your profile? Do they just go to the next video? And you can see who your followers are down to where they live, what their age is, excuse me, their gender. And it gives you a really good idea if that's your goal. Like I said, not my goal, but if your goal is simply to increase your following, that's an easy measurable. If your goal though is to increase the number of attorney referrals you get, it's a much tougher calculation. If somebody's got one, send it to me, because I don't have that, that formula to figure out. I don't know that. I'm going to pause real quick here because Casey Office is telling me how to put the chat on, and I hope that there's some questions here. So let's see. According to her, I can go to the chat toolbar, which I've been to multiple times. Oh, now you see my ring light. You see the behind the scenes on this. All right, there you go. Y'all have the chat turned on. To anyone I offended, I apologize for not letting you chat. Paul Simon still hopefully is blocked from chatting. I feel bad for from Adam Taylor, who I mistakenly added to this webinar, and then I removed him. I just meant from the screen. He's now removed from the webinar, so I'm going to owe him something in the in the long run. So can you all confirm real quick with me that you actually can chat if anyone is still awake on this webinar? That would make me feel good. Leonard Mathis, thank you for chatting. All right, so does anybody have any questions with where I'm at right now? The recap real quick is, think about why you want to do this. Think about what your commitment level is going to be and what your time amount is, and think about who your audience is. The audience is a tough thing to do. I can tell a lot of lawyers are just putting up videos to try to reach the general public. My belief though is, if you are, and let me talk about the frequency. My belief is if you are doing videos weekly, every third day, even every other day, it is not going to work. You're not doing it enough. I've gone down the road of every other day, and it's not enough, because you need to be a consistent, reliable source of information and entertainment. And if you are not an everyday thing, especially with videos of only 30 to 45 seconds, because that's my longest videos, maybe 55 seconds, that is not enough. You need to be top of mind every single day. So if you notice on my Instagram, for example, if you don't follow my Instagram, please do. No harm, no foul. I will post and I'll show you my schedule. I post a post, as Instagram calls it. So the video on my page on Instagram at 8:30 in the morning, thereabout. At sometime in the afternoon, frankly, because the program I can't use, I can only choose to post it on a post or a story. The stories are the things that that you can click on that are only up for 24 hours. And if you watch or read the comments from the CEO of Instagram, from Mark Zuckerberg, from a lot of other social media sites, the story and DMs are where, as I hate to say this, as an old person, to me, I thought it was posts, but the stories and the DMs are actually where the most communication on those platforms is from. So the post to me is for us old people, us, that's who it's for. My story though is later in the afternoon. That way it looks like 2 posts a day, even though it's the same post. And I get to catch the second people again, because even if you saw it the first time, I don't care. I want you to see it a second time. And I'm trying to post at least twice a day. We're going to get to the point where it's true content twice a day. And the only thing stopping me from that right now is a time and running out the videos that I have planned for one day and trying to do some different content in a different form for the second part of the day. But right now we're at 1 a day with some supplement, basically, whether it's the same post in a different way, whether it's a post of my dog, whether it's a post from work, whether it's a deposition, whatever it is, whether it's just me, I'm going to try to post in some way, shape, or form twice a day. And I kid you not, I think that's the minimum. I'm looking at the comments here. So what specific equipment do you use? I will send out an email after this with the camera that I use and the lighting setup. I think I have the lighting info. If not, I'll look. But it's remarkably unfancy. The quality difference that you have from a professional camera to from a phone or an iPad or there's a 1080 HD camera here on my computer to a professional camera is significantly different, is significant. The downside though is your editing software and the way that you edit video when you're starting at a professional camera to editing software is different than if I was just recording right now on this. It's much easier to edit because I don't have to go through the process of transferring the file. And there's AI out there that will just take this webinar. I'm actually gonna do it for my first time after this. That will take this webinar and cut it and splice it for you. And I'm gonna see what the AI does. So I'll send out that email. The content is a mix of educational, shared experiences, and humor. Thank you. I appreciate that. Does anyone help you create your ideas? Not really. Not really. In my office, we share ideas and I'll walk down the hallway and say, what do you guys think I should talk about? But the truth is, if they're not my stories, if someone says, oh, you should talk about my deposition the other day, I can't do that. That wasn't my deposition. And I don't really have I don't have the frame of reference. Now, real quick, background about me, if y'all don't know this. When I was in college, I worked for Fox News Channel as an executive producer, excuse me, worked there for a good while. In the summer, I started as a guest booker, and I ended as an associate producer writing segments for Shepard Smith at the time, Bill Hemmer, the daytime crew. This was back 2007, 2008, something like that. So I worked there for trying to think, for 3 calendar years, I think. I then went and worked at Cox Broadcasting's DC bureau in DC, obviously, but at the time, Cox had 16 stations, I think, across the country where we did local news. So I would package California news, report on California news. At the time, California was going bankrupt. Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor. So I would do a story on California news. I'd turn around and do a Disney story for WSOC. I think that was it, I got to look up. It's fading with my old age, but I would do a story for the Orlando station. I'd do one for Charlotte for WSB here. So I have done this before. I have done, so I don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings here. And I don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings who does video content that I'm implicitly criticizing. I think most video content people do is terrible. I just don't think they're good at it. I don't think they present well. And I think a lot of it's because they're stiff. They're worried that the video isn't going to do well. A skill that I have, for better or worse, is I don't really give a fuck what anyone thinks about me. I don't care. Part of that is hubris, and part of that is a confidence in myself that I know if I'm myself and I do no matter what the task is in my life, if I do to the best of my ability and I'm true to myself, I'll be able to sleep at night. Like some of you, I've tried walking into court and being someone else. I've tried walking into a hearing, a closing argument, and said, oh, wow, Pete Law, who I used to work for, he did it this way. I'm going to do it this way. Or I saw Jim Butler do it this way. Or I saw whoever, right? This is what I saw, so I'm going to do that. Can't do it. It's just not real. It's not authentic. So the thing I try to do the best in my videos is be 100% authentic and tell my stories. So if there is a good topic, but I don't have a story about it, I'm not going to do it. But the truth is, the way the content comes is 100% natural. Out of that list I showed you on my phone, there are probably about 20 story ideas. Only 5 of these will make videos. And the other 25 videos that I come up with, 30 videos a month, 31 videos a month, the other videos I come up with will come from natural conversation. From the guy behind the camera who's filming that day saying to me, yeah, I saw this crash on the way into your office. Tell me, like, what happens after a crash? shit. And I'll sit there and I'll just start talking. And it will likely start with the nonsense. Forgive me for everybody who's done these nonsense videos. I've done them too. Well, after a crash, you call police, make sure you're not injured, go get medical treatment. Don't sign any ticket, whatever the hell, whatever your 5 common things do after a car crash. But that will naturally spawn to, oh, hey, I've got this crazy story. The video that I have up today, hey, here's this crazy story. I had this client, her name was Bertha. She was in a car crash. She's standing on the side of the road talking to a cop, and another guy who's driving down the road dies. While he's driving down I-20, he dies, hits her, takes out both her legs. She's the most unlucky person in the world, maybe the most unlucky client I've ever had. Right there, what I just did, and I knew what I was going to say because I know the video today, but that is how I get to videos, is start talking, keep talking, and I will find it. This sounds lame. If you ever watch, there's a video out there, I think of the Beatles, of how they come up with music. The more recent one I've seen is John Mayer, who's just sitting there and strumming his guitar and singing gibberish. Just doing that. I don't know how to play guitar, but that's how I imagine do it. So that is kind of what I'm doing is if you think about it, 30 videos, let's call it a minute each. It's not that. I'm well under 30 minutes of content. It takes me 6 to 8 hours. And all I'm doing is talking. I get home and I don't want to talk at all. I don't want to talk at all. So maybe that'll be a video. So right there, like after this webinar, I'm going to write in my phone, hey, maybe a video about what I do about after these, a video about what I do after the videos, which is go home and not speak because I'm so tired of speaking. So if that hopefully gives you an idea of what the content process actually is. Let me talk about the platforms because I think this is important. I made a video the other day about ums. It was yesterday. I posted it at least. And now all I do is hear myself saying it's a gift and a curse. When you say your mouth is moving faster than your brain. So the key is just take a deep breath and let your mind catch up. So that's what I'm trying to do. Let me talk about the platforms. I post my videos to all platforms, even though I know that they are not the most engaging content on some of the platforms. TikTok, Instagram, they're essentially video platforms at this point. So the correct thing to post on Instagram and on TikTok is video content and graphics. I find that graphics with my face, I don't necessarily think it's my face, I think it's faces, work much better than random graphics with numbers of 5 things you should do or not do for your personal injury case, 1, 2, 3. That graphic is not going to perform as well as a picture of me promoting this webinar. I don't know why. And I think the answer, though, I don't know, but I think the answer is that Instagram wants you to promote yourself. It's a platform about yourself and about your experiences. TikTok is a video-only platform if you're not familiar. Those 2 platforms are the most engagement that I get. Let me talk about the other platforms and then I'll talk about the engagement, the pros and the cons of it. So then you have LinkedIn, which I think Darrell Champion, he's not on here, I don't think, but Darrell Champion, I think, does the best long form content on LinkedIn today. He is giving posts, I saw, and he did a video too, but he is giving long form story or educational content in LinkedIn. And I think that is the best content I see. I post my videos, frankly, because I'm hoping that at some point LinkedIn becomes a video content machine and I will be ahead of the curve. I used to do a LinkedIn tip of the day. So when I say social media marketing, I'm not just talking only videos. I used to do a LinkedIn tip of the day. I did it for about 3.5 years straight. A new tip every single day with 0 planning. It could have been called shit I thought about when I woke up, because I would sit in bed and I would not get up until I wrote and posted something. My tip of the day started with the following phrase: Georgia personal injury lawyer tip of the day. So 7 days a week, 30, 31 days a month, 365 days a year for 3 years. People saw my name, my picture, and it said Georgia personal injury lawyer tip of the day. Between us, friends, I wanted to deliver good tips, and I think I did. I mean, I truly gave honest content. That wasn't my concern. My concern was if I deliver good content, that's a prerequisite, but my marketing is Georgia personal injury lawyer before every post. I mean, that is the intro, the lead into every single post. So I've had people, I had a guy in Florida call me and say, hey, aren't you the Georgia personal injury lawyer? And I was like, well, there's a lot of us. And he goes, oh, no, but on LinkedIn, you're Georgia personal injury lawyer. And I was like, yes, I am. I kind of gave that up to some degree. I gave that up to doing these videos. I keep saying I'm going to do it again. I've kind of started, but failed a few times. And the main reason is if you don't have a schedule while you're doing these posts, you're not going to commit to it. You're just absolutely not going to commit to it. So the social media stuff is probably my biggest daily stressor, or at least it was my biggest daily stressor for having a post up, a video up, and content. Because if you think about all the things we do, whether you own your own law firm or you're an associate or a non-managing partner of a law firm, you've got a lot of jobs. No matter what you're doing, you have a lot of jobs. For those of us who are on the management side of a law firm, you have your management tasks. You have your everybody's got their lawyer tasks. You've got your marketing tasks. You got everything else in life. You got family. You got this and that. And then you're adding, I'm a social media content creator. And I know that sounds lame, but it's true. Barstool Sports can't figure out how to make money with their social media content. And they have some of the most exciting, interesting people on content. And their entire daily job is to make content and push it and produce it and get people interested. And here I am as a lawyer, I'm spending 6 to 8 hours a week making content on the video side. That's an uphill battle. So I really think before you commit to doing this, if you're thinking about it, and I assume you are if you're on, or you're maybe already doing it if you're on this webinar, is make sure you know you can produce good quality content. Because I see a lot of content, and some of my content too isn't great. It isn't great. Because if you start producing poor content, naturally what will happen is people will stop watching your videos. And if they stop watching your videos, you're an afterthought and you've wasted your time, or you've put a negative impression out there. And that negative impression, maybe you're not competent. That, I watched videos. I watched a guy last night. He was in Philadelphia and was doing some video. He's a Philadelphia personal injury lawyer. And my takeaway from his video is I would never want you in front of a jury because you are a robot. Like, I'm moving more than he moved. So I think you got to make sure that it's going to benefit you. And if video content is not your thing, try the long form content on LinkedIn, because that's what it's created for. You can even try short form. I stopped doing the personal injury lawyer tips of the day because, one, I needed a break. I was out of content. And number two, LinkedIn moved to long form content more than short form. So my content went from getting thousands of views a day to hundreds of views. And part of it was I wasn't meeting their minimum content requirements. I use that loosely to get high engagement. So I didn't do it. Let's see, I've got a question here. Hey, Mike, have you had any issues with bar ethics stuff as it relates to your content? For example, do you feel you need to put a disclaimer? That question's from Natalie, who I went to law school with. I hope Natalie hasn't read the Daily Report and isn't just picking at me. I know she would never do that. Let me talk to you about ethics. I didn't know what that comment was going to say. Let me talk about ethics and the negative ramifications of your videos right now. Right now, but after I get through just with my thoughts on Facebook and Twitter. So I'm talking about platforms. Facebook, I don't know what to make of it. I'm going to be honest. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know. The business pages don't seem to be much of a mover or shaker. Their Facebook, whatever they call it, their short form video, I posted them, doesn't really do much. With that said, though, I'll post a video to LinkedIn, or excuse me, to TikTok and Instagram, and I'll get great feedback in one, but not the other. And I haven't found out the secret sauce. It's apparently like insurance companies. You have two cases that are exactly the same and they treat them so differently. I don't know why. So Facebook, I haven't figured out. I'm using Facebook currently as a personal network, really to talk to friends and family, just like normal people, but try not to totally inundate people with content that is not relevant to them, and that's not only lawyer content. So I'm trying to share the victory, share things I'm proud of, kind of share the things that really matter to me. And videos I think are good. I'm posting those because your Facebook reach is limited to your friend group, way more so than Instagram, and certainly way more than TikTok. And then the Facebook short form video content app isn't really doing much for me, at least. I've started posting mine to YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts is the YouTube short form content. I do that. I have seen some comments, bar none. Those comments and that engagement has been 100% more negative and fucked up than anything else. So I don't know if I'm going to continue doing that because it isn't making that much of a difference to me, and I'm not getting the positive feedback, so I don't know. My message to you with this is figure out what you want to do. Figure out how you're going to make the content. Decide what content you want to do and where it should go. If you want to do long form content, do it on LinkedIn, create a newsletter, push that newsletter, maybe through a MailChimp account, which is how I email all this stuff about my webinars. If that's what you want to do that. Don't go do Instagram and TikTok videos. Don't do that. If you want to get, high value cases from lawyer referral sources, my belief is don't stand in your living room and dance to TikToks. I'm not going to do that. And if your marketing strategy doesn't fit social media, I think that's okay. I think that's okay. Maybe I'll do another video in a year where I'll have a different answer of whether I'm even still doing this. And the reason that my biggest hesitation of social media marketing, I guess, if you're going to listen to one thing in this video, listen to this part, and then I'll go into Natalie's question. So if you're going to listen to one thing in this video, listen to this. If you're going to make videos or content and produce and publish that content let's talk about videos first, on Instagram and TikTok, an overwhelming majority of your followers are not going to be in your relevant area. I say that again. The people that are watching your videos, they're not going to be anywhere near you geographically. So if you have a geographically based practice, in my office, we're licensed in Florida, Alabama, and Georgia. We do cases other places, but the majority of our cases are coming from there, the overwhelming majority. On TikTok, 90% of my followers are not in Atlanta. 14% are in Houston. 13% are in Chicago. What does that do for me? Maybe I'll get a lawyer in Houston to give me a call and say, hey, I've seen you, and I don't know. Maybe that'll happen from Chicago. Maybe that'll happen from the 10+% of people that are in Australia. So the problem to me with the TikTok and the Instagram platforms for my business, I'll talk about my business, is it is very difficult on an organic way, meaning non-sponsorships. I'll talk about that in a minute. Non-ads, just producing and publishing content. You don't know where your video is going to go. I got a call the other week from Scotland. What am I going to do with that? I've gotten calls from Australia. Hell, I get calls from Iowa. Okay, maybe I can get a referral out of that. But is that how I want to be spending my time? On Instagram, it's not much better. And on stats, and I think it might be worse. On Instagram, 14% of my followers are in Atlanta. So 86 are not. I don't know, disclaimer, I don't totally know how they calculate the city range. I've been assuming it's the metro counties. I bet you it's bigger than that, though. I just haven't looked into it that far, but I bet it's bigger. So on Instagram, I have 14%, but what do you have in Instagram that you don't really have in TikTok? Anybody? On Instagram, you have business pages, and you have a lot of non-humans. You have business entities. My dog has an Instagram. I don't see many dogs on TikTok. There's no reason in TikTok to have multiple accounts. So, I have an account. It's my account. Rafi Law Firm doesn't have a separate account. I guess you could, but it doesn't. So you don't have that duplicative account stuff where compare my TikTok to my Instagram. I used to have a Rafi Law Firm page, a Mike Rafi page, and a Bunker Rafi page. I combined the two because it just wasn't manageable. But think about how many businesses you know that have pages, and then the owners of that business have their separate pages. So I think the Instagram numbers are frankly inflated because you have businesses that are occupying space. So TikTok, at least you know it's a human. Also, TikTok skews much younger. So my fear there is if you're 17, 18 on TikTok, how are you going to find a lawyer? You're going to call your parents. So the market that I'm trying to, or the people that I'm trying to reach, I'm not their best source of information. They're going to call their parents. Last thing, no criticism to my clients, no criticism to people out there that don't know lawyers, but on the whole, in a general sense, the cases that the clients, I'll be real here, the clients on a general sense, there are exceptions. If you're my client, you are the exception to this rule without a doubt. The general rule is if someone comes in from a lawyer to my office, they are almost certainly going to be a much better quality client than someone who came directly from social media. Think about someone you know. And this kind of gives it away, the you know part. If your friend gets into a car crash, they're probably going to call you. And then you're going to get linked in or hooked up. And you then have what I would call a regular human being who knows someone who knows a lawyer. Now, if you go one more step down, someone who maybe doesn't know a lawyer, doesn't have a number of a lawyer, but knows someone who does, says, oh yeah, my friend Terry knows a lawyer too, I'll call them. Those are going to be your highest quality clients. Somebody who says, I was in a car crash, I saw this guy, this woman's social media, billboard, TV ad, whatever. And I'm not going to call the lawyer I know because I don't know one. I'm not going to call my friend because I'm pretty sure they know a lawyer. That's going to give you a tougher client, So what I found is that in my firm, case values for cases that do come from social media are lower and the clients are more difficult. That is the game. So let's talk about the downsides of social media. And I wasn't going to start here, but Natalie asked, I'll start with ethics. If you did not know, I tried a case, I'm so bad at time, a couple months ago, April? I may be wrong. I don't know. I tried a case a couple months ago. It was a car crash case, $83,000, I think, maybe 88, in medical bills for an arthroscopic knee surgery. The case was against a passenger driver. My client was going straight on Beaver Ruin Road, and she was pulling out a gas station, hit him, and there's a crash. The defendant says she didn't cause the crash. She did, very, very easily she did, but never admitted negligence. And the defense was kind of everything that you get in these personal injury cases of he wasn't really hurt. It was a hiking fall. It was like sort of hiking, walking around a park and fell and went to the doctor years earlier and was totally fine afterwards. But that was to blame. He caused the crash. Bills are too high. I mean, all the normal stuff. Before that case, the Saturday before, started on Monday, I was doing kind of my last minute preparations where I'm in my office, nobody's near me, nobody's allowed to be near me. And I'm just kind of running through everything. And what I do, just fun fact, this is off topic. What I do is I walk through the trial in my head the weekend before. So Saturday I sat there and I said, all right, what's the first thing that's going to happen? Okay, we got some motions. So I'm literally sitting there, kind of eyes closed like a weirdo and walking through what I think is going to happen in the motions hearing. And then I'll move on to, okay, jury selection. I'll get up in my office and do it. And I do the trial. I've done it. I do the trial in my mind, but also, in my own little world. And by the weekend of the trial, I've done that probably 50 times at least, all the parts of the trial. The idea being if I'm put in a situation where something crazy happens, I've kind of hopefully already put myself in that situation or something near it. So that's what I'm doing is kind of my last one where I imagine that I'm there. When I do these visualizations, I guess you can call it that, by the way, I don't only think good. If you play golf, you hear, oh, visualize the shot and make sure you hit a good shot. Some advice I heard once was don't don't visualize that every shot's great. Imagine some of your shots are crap and then you're in a bad spot and you got to get out of it, and imagine how you're going to do that, because that's going to happen, and that's going to happen in the trial. So I imagine, that things don't go my way, or that there's an objection I wasn't expecting or whatever. So anyway, I am in my office and I'm running through the motions in limine filed by the defense. And I say to myself, this would be a really good piece of content. I think the public, this is one of the few videos I made specifically geared towards the public. I think they'd want to know that, hey, there's this stuff you can't talk about in court and the reason why. And, for clickbait purposes, admittedly, for clickbait purposes, I titled it Lies That We Tell Jurors. Because, you're on social media, you see a video titled Lies We Tell Jurors, people are going to click on that. So I put the video up on Saturday, go through jury selection on Monday, and nobody knows me. Nobody knows anything about the case. You do your normal jury selection, and, nobody knew me and nobody knew the video. I get through with the trial, and we get a $1 million compensatory damage verdict. We go and seek fees for a frivolous defense under 9/11/68. We asked the jury and our expenses, and we asked the jury to award $512,000. They award an extra $512,000, and voila, I have a $1.512 million verdict on $100,000. Here's the part people don't know: on a $100,000 case with questionable bad faith prospects. So, our goal was always get the verdict if we can, and resolve the case for as much as we can with the verdict as leverage. So, hopefully we can use the bad faith case to get that leverage. Before the trial, we'd never been offered before above the policy limits. This case recently settled. So after the trial, this is Protective Bunker. If you guys haven't met him, come here, bud. But after the case, this is Bunker. After the case, after the case, the defense files a motion for a new trial. They give a couple reasons, and frankly, I thought the last reason was a throwaway, which was that I had made this video, and that without any case law or any real evidence or allegation, and I'll say there was no evidence or allegation that a juror had seen the video. It was a completely fair trial. For whatever reason, that argument held water with the judge. The idea that I had made a video that was unethical, which I'll explain to you why I don't think it was, but not. I won't give you that exact detail. I'll tell you what the rules are, and you need to know for your practice. But and the judge ordered a new trial based on the catch-all provision in Georgia law that essentially allows judges to be the 13th juror and overturn a valid jury verdict. So that was certainly the downside. I vehemently disagree with that order. I think that, the idea that videos I think the judge was concerned that my video content was somehow targeting jurors in that trial, which couldn't be farther from the truth. Her kind of thought on that, I think, or at least the defense argument on that, was that I had tagged Gwinnett County, or I put myself in location in Gwinnett County. Reason I did that back for geo-targeting, remember? So I'm tagging videos to put where I am, because I want to get people that are interested, and you're more interested if you see Gwinnett County and you're here in Georgia. And then I had said some facts about the case and said, this is a trial that's going on in Gwinnett County starting on Monday. Didn't use the defense name, didn't use my client's name, didn't say the case name, didn't say the judge. And if you read Rule 3.6, which is the ethics rule that applies at least to this kind of situation, there has to be a substantial, and that's the key word, a substantial prejudice, substantial risk of prejudice. Don't quote me on the exact language, read it yourself. But my thought, giving my stats that I told you earlier, I did the math, and it was like hundreds of people at most in Metro Atlanta had seen these videos, or seen this video. And to me, that's not substantial. With respect to the folks out there that do press conferences on the regular and on local news where hundreds of thousands of people are watching that every night, the idea that my video could have some substantial effect never crossed my mind. And there's kind of like a list of things that say pretty much if you're reciting information that's in the public record, if that's more likely to not cause any substantial prejudice. And there's a list of items, and you can read those items and watch my video if you want, and make your own decision. But what I would tell you before making a video is make sure you consult those rules, make sure you get the best evidence that you possibly can. But the risk is a judge may just disagree. Fun fact, a violation of an ethics rule, even if there was one, there's not. But if even a violation of ethics rule is not supposed to harm your client and cause a new trial, that is not a, violation of ethics rule is not a grounds for a new trial. But judges do have that ability under kind of a catch-all 13th juror just to say that they didn't think the verdict was in the interest of justice, which, maybe in my case, it combined the fact that, there's a $1.5 million verdict on arthroscopic knee surgery with $88,000 in bills. That may be part of the reason. So I think that you should be prepared to have people not like your video and potentially have judges not like your video. Be prepared that your video is going to be used against you. I cannot tell you at this point how many briefs have cited videos of mine. So you have to be prepared to defend or ignore or give context, and know that defense lawyers or whoever, other lawyers, whoever, are going to use your videos to learn things about you. I talk about how I do jury selection, for example, on these webinars. I've done a whole thing, and I've had lawyers come to me and say, defense lawyers, I know how you're going to do jury selection. Okay. I don't care if you know that, but if you have some secret out there, don't put it on the internet, because people are going to watch it and people are going to find it. And frankly, people are going to take things out of context. A buddy of mine from law school, Austin Bersinger, and I did a webinar 2 years ago, I think now, about bad faith. And our number one message from that was, don't set up insurance companies. And that's still my message. They will mess up and take unreasonable positions. Don't try to set anyone up. And there's a brief out there that's a motion somebody filed saying that I try to set up insurance companies and cited that webinar. I'm like, you must not have watched the whole thing, but you got to deal with that. And that is a frustrating part of it. So we covered the ethics, rule 3.6, give the bar a call. If you have a question, hopefully you'll get some good advice. Know that some judges are more savvy and some are not. Some think the danger of social media is greater than the danger of doing a press conference that reaches national news or at least local news. But you're going to run into that. I mentioned advertising. The way to cure the problem that I'm trying to solve your problem is geo-targeting. It's not great. You're going to get those people from all over the earth. The solution, if you call it that, is advertising. You can run paid ads in a specific location. I think you have to completely saturate the market, and it becomes almost like a billboard TV strategy where you have to do everything. But that is the cure. That is one option to try to cure the geo-targeting issue I mentioned. I talked about the types of clients. Let me tell you about the positive with clients. Since I post every day, my clients who follow me on social media, and we do our part to say to clients, follow us on social media, follow me, listen to me, listen to my stories, get to know me. They watch the videos. And so every day my clients see me. At least every day they open up their social media platforms, they see me. And that makes them know I'm still around, I'm still working. Sometimes it stops them from calling my office, I'm convinced, because they know I'm there. They know I'm in front of them, and they don't need to hear from me directly. And they know, I'm doing a good job because they see the videos too. Another negative is new platforms. I hadn't mentioned it, but Threads, Facebook's Twitter just came out, and Threads has underperformed, but one day it might. And then you're adding a new social media. You're adding a new social media platform, and you're having to make videos and content to that. So that is something. I'm going to move this light I have here because I want y'all to, I want to share one thing I forgot to tell you. I'm running out of time here. I know that is, I want to show you my content schedule and how it works. So let's see. All right, here is a program I use, called Loomly. Loomly. There's a bunch of these. There's Hootsuite, Loomly. I mean, you can find a million of them. I like Loomly because I like this calendar view and I think it's cost effective and it works with most platforms, most being the keyword. So with Loomly, I have a calendar and I purposely stopped doing videos right here, but in my calendar because I wanted to show you how I do one. So I'm going to take a post and I've already uploaded my videos. So here's my Loomly account. And what I've done is I have uploaded my videos and I've created a daily video calendar. These are all the videos that I've ran recently. So I'm going to look at the calendar view. Oops. I don't want to create a new calendar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say to myself, hey, I'd really like to make a new video. And my new video is going to be a post. It's going to be on daily videos. I'm going to build this post. I'm going to pick a video of some sort, whatever video that I'll post. And I'm going to title it. This is just, you can see my titles, Racist Bank, Racist Bank. I'm just going to title it Mike here. And if I wanted to use labels, I could create labels and categorize my videos. I'm then going to select the social media channels that I want to do it to. TikTok is screwed now because it's X. Thank you, Elon Musk. So I can't post excuse me, Twitter is screwed now because I can't, it's now X. So I'm going to skip that one. By the way, if you want negative comments and you want just a toxic place, post to Twitter. I refuse to. So I'm going to go to Instagram. I'm going to go to LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok. I'm going to click next. This box right here is going to be the content that's going to be on every post unless I want to change it. So I'm going to make it Mike is great. So that's going to be the starting point. Now on Facebook, now I would have the video here if I was going to use a video. I can change the text within Facebook to say Mike is great, thanks Facebook people. And that text is only going to apply to Facebook. On Instagram, you see it still says Mike is great. I can pick if I do it on a feed or if I want to do it my story. Feed is the post on your page. The story is, the 24-hour story. On LinkedIn, here's what it would look like. They give you tips on this stuff. I don't know how useful it is. On YouTube, you need to name your title. So that's one thing you always have to do is name your title. And then on TikTok, obviously I have to have a video. And then after I get done with that, I'm going to be able to pick target audiences within certain platforms. The truth is, though, those platforms, those audiences are, I guess I have hesitations about how great the audience total is, but and how great it is in terms of actually targeting people. But you can do that, and then you can schedule your posts out. That process, I'll also say about the time concerns, that process alone, just uploading the videos, and because it's me and because I want to be authentic and real, I'm the one who, I don't upload them, but I'm the one who creates the posts and the tags and all that stuff, because that's important to me. That takes me about 2 or 3 hours a month to sit there and do that. So, all in, let's say I'm at a 10-ish hours, 12-ish hours of just these videos. So let's see if I missed anything that I wanted to talk about. And if you have questions, I think now is the time. I know how I end, and I know how I wanted to end. A call to action. When you're creating content and when you are deciding who you're going to reach and when you're making posts, you have to decide what you want from that post. What do you want? Easy example. When I send the MailChimp out that I assume you guys get that gives you a link to this webinar, what I want you to do is I want you to click the thing that says register now. And I want you to register and I want to see you and I want you to come to my webinar. That's the call to action that I want. I want that. When you make a post, though, it's tough. When I make a post about cigars, what do I want? Like, why would I want you to see that? Well, what I want you to do in that post is I want you to be entertained. And I want you to come back tomorrow for a new video. Or I want you to look at my old videos. I want you to scroll back through my profile and say, oh, that's kind of funny. What else has he posted? And then I want you to look at my old videos. Sometimes I want you to gain information. And if you're ever in a situation where you have to use that information, I want you to sit back and remember, oh yeah, that guy, Mike Rafi told me about that situation and told me how to handle it. Very rarely in my videos or in any of my content, very rarely do I actually ask for anything. My call to action is I want the viewer to be better informed, and I want to be top of mind for them. And I want viewers to be engaged and want to look at my other posts. That's what I want. My posts are not ending with, so if you've been hurt or a loved one has been hurt, call Mike Rafi, 1-800-404-4444 now. That's not how I'm ending my post, because that's not what I want to see, and that's not the content I want to watch. So if you wouldn't watch your own content, if you wouldn't call yourself, or if you wouldn't remember yourself from your videos, don't make that video. It's just not worth it. So that's kind of the rundown of social media. I think it's an outstanding question. It's an ongoing question of whether I will continue to do this in the future because of the time, the stress, the difficulty in producing content while also being a lawyer and having interesting content. And the cases that I generate from it are not the high dollar cases. If you're looking to start a volume practice with a direct to consumer marketing approach, this may be your way to do that. I mean, lawyers have and are doing that. If you're looking to be an expert in your field, a thought leader, as a lot of books I read put it, this is an option. I think you have to do it the right way, starting from the way you film your content, how you look on the screen and the quality of the presentation, to the content, to how you're using it and what your expectations are for it. My expectations are, when someone gets a case that they know I've a similar case to what I've talked about on a video, they will think about me and the lawyer will call me. Probably a lot of my videos, at least a good bit of them, don't make sense to non-lawyers, and I'm okay with that because they're not my target audience. So I'm trying to do things a little bit differently than your, big ticket, huge volume firms that are trying to get cases any way they possibly can, with social media being, one way to get generally small value cases that they can then churn and burn. That's not what we're doing at my place. So I'm limited in some ways by the practice I have to the social media benefit I derive. So I told you I'd give you the real honest opinion. I don't mean for this to be doom and gloom, but this is honestly what I think. I mean, it's something where I've certainly thought about not doing it at different times, and I'm sure that will continue to pop up in my mind. But in the end, I have fun with it. My kids think it's fun. They think it's crazy. The 10-year-old thinks it's crazy that people watch me. So that gives me some enjoyment. I do truly, maybe this is the TV background, I do truly believe there's a benefit to lawyers being real, being themselves, talking about themselves and their work and their job and court and depositions and talking about their cases and not being douchebags. I did a reaction video, I think my first one ever, last week, because I saw a lawyer who had made a video and his takeaway was, well, I'm just going to sue everyone. And I made a reaction video to that where I said, no, this is why everybody hates plaintiffs' lawyers. Like for the right reason. You run around just saying, let's sue everyone. My goal is certainly to market and get cases, but also to educate the general public that we're not all assholes and we are honest. We work hard. We have a need. I say this on almost every, I say this at least almost every week in some sort of way to a comment or something, is I wouldn't have a job if insurance companies just treated people fairly. And I believe that. I am, we are, if you're a plaintiff's lawyer in this, you are a glitch in the matrix. We could be eradicated, but insurance companies choose not to because it's more cost effective for us to exist and them to save money by not paying claims. I guess very last thing is the comments, since I mentioned it. I in doing my research for this webinar to see if other people had different thoughts, the number one thing I read and heard was don't respond to comments. I do respond to comments because I'm trying to promote engagement and because I think it's funny. So, you can take from that what you want, but there's certainly times where one of our videos has like 6 million views. I can't respond to those comments, but when it's something interesting that I think will educate the public or make them think differently, I'm going to respond to comments because that serves my goal or my purpose. So I'm ending and starting and ending with what is your goal in your videos? Mine is to market to the extent I can and also sort of provide like PSA announcements once a day to people out there. So does anybody have any questions? Make sure I've covered as many as I can. Anybody at all? Anybody at all? All right. Well, I appreciate joining on this webinar. Oh, I did miss one. There we go. Michael, for editing, do you send your videos out to an editor or do you use AI or something? Or basically, how do I edit the videos? We do in-house editing. Part of that is because I want content control. It's my content, it's my face out there, so I want total control. Second, I want to own my own content. It has to be mine. I'm not going to ship it out to some company. And third, I don't want to be, I'll give you, I don't want to be, trying to think of an eloquent way to say this. I don't want to be controlled by someone else. So we just got a case management software for the first time in office somewhat recently. We never needed it, but we decided we'd get it. It helped staff. And now what I've realized, and I've always known, is now I'm kind of at the mercy of the case management company because they have all my data and my systems are going to change and evolve and have changed and evolved to tie in their system to my processes. So with video content, if you have an editor that does a really great job and you can't fire, they raise the price on you, they whatever, you're at their mercy, and I didn't want to do that. So and I'll tell you by the cost, at least the cost price that I've done, or at least the estimates I've gotten to produce the kind of content that I want, because the editing process is long and is involved. That process is, well, what I'll say is that process for editing is the make or break thing of the video. I mean, that is the video. It's how it's edited. I firmly believe that. It's a mix of that and content, but you can have great content that's edited poorly and you're not going to have a good result. So I want that in-house. Hope that answers your question. Anybody else? Anything I missed? All right, y'all. I hope to see some of your videos, if that's what you decide to do. Or remember, this isn't just videos. It's also about different kinds of content for different for different platforms. My last piece of advice to you is you do not need to be setting every social media platform on fire. If you want to increase your social media presence or begin a social media presence, start with one platform. Find one. If your natural inkling is to talk to friends and family, because that's where your business comes from, post on Facebook. Do that and start doing it religiously and try to make your content something that's educational, that's fun, but also displays your personality. Because in the end, I think people, at least lawyer referrals, you're hiring the person. You're hiring the person. So I try to show myself, my authentic self on these videos. And if someone doesn't like me and doesn't want to send me a case because of that, because I told my wife that she should quit Amazon, then we probably wouldn't have made a good match anyway working together. You wouldn't have gotten my sense of humor. I would have offended you or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So if you don't like me in my videos, we probably aren't going to get along. So for your benefit, pick one social media channel and start doing that. You don't need to commit to something like I did, which is I'm going to spend thousands of dollars a month to produce video content a day, because you don't need to do that to reach people. Now, if you decide you want to increase and grow your social media presence or greatly, or if you decide that you want to start getting more and more cases, or maybe the majority of your cases from social media, if you're going to do that, you 100% need to commit, and you need to be posting at least once a day, probably more, and you need to be prepared. Sitting here right now, I have more than 60 days of content, probably closer to 90 days of content that I could patch into that calendar and go. So I have I have over saved content. So that way, if there's a month I can't do it because I have a 2-week trial, if I get sick, if I just want to start posting twice a day, I can start doing that and I'll be okay. It's a commitment. Decide your level of commitment, because I think the worst thing you can do is start doing this and then spend all the money or the time and then just stop doing it without really giving it a true shot. That's why I committed to the 9 months. I'm going to do this for 9 months or maybe even 12 months, but at least 9 months I'm going to do it for. So I hope that helps. This was a tough topic for me to talk about because I feel like I'm kind of just poo-pooing. I'm shitting on social media. I'm not doing that. You're probably sitting in the back of your mind saying, well, Mike's still doing it. Yes, I am, but I have become much more realistic about the results and the reasons I'm doing it. When I started, my reason was I'm going to set the world on fire and I'm going to get all these cases. Now I see the benefits of other benefits rather than pure how many cases can I generate. All right, well, I'm going to hang here for just a few extra minutes. If anybody has any last minute questions, let me know. I appreciate y'all joining me. I'll see you next month. In terms of content ideas, if you have ideas for my next webinar, if you want me to talk about something, help me help you. Help me help you. Because we're at 3 years of webinars and I could use the help on some content. So